It's a Wednesday at high noon, April 2nd, 2025. And thank you. Thank you for sharing your Wednesday afternoon money at lunchtime. What better topic than talking about financial empowerment, money management, increasing that income, taking control of your finances? Hi, I'm JB Bryan, President and Chief Investment Officer of JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm and the home of AfroEconomics. Thank you for sharing your day with me. I appreciate you. Yes, indeed. I see you. Oh, let me see how I can get that up there. How are you doing, Dr. Lewis? Thank you for sharing a little bit of your time with me. I know you're out there empowering these young people. I'm pretty sure you will enjoy today's discussion because it is about a PhD just like you. Yes, indeed. I'm thinking about The Miseducation of the Negro, written by Carter G. Woodson. And one might think, well, JB, what does the miseducation of the Negro have to do with unlimited income? Well, Carter G. Woodson, in the 1930s, when he wrote that book, he was on it. He was on it. You know, now this I'm sharing this synopsis that I think is fantastic, and it just breaks down the miseducation of the Negro and the book. And it's, I mean, if you've never read that book, I literally feel that The Miseducation of the Negro, reading that early in my life, in my 20s, seriously empowered me in a way that all of my degrees have not. Also reading The Power of Positive Thinking, and also Think and Grow Rich, but nothing like the miseducation of the Negro. And I'll just read because you may not be able to see it, but it says, in this chapter, Woodson makes a strong argument that Blacks must be educated about their culture and the significant accomplishments of people of African descent. At the time when Woodson was writing, most American schools taught only European American history. And remember, Carter G. Woodson is the one that pushed through Black History Month. In addition, these schools taught that Africans and those of African heritage were intellectually inferior to other races of people. Remember, our historically Black colleges initially could not have Black presidents. They could not have Black leadership. They weren't allowed to. And then they gradually, as my father was president of two HBCUs, and he explained to me, as a Black man, a dark-skinned Black man of African descent, a descendant of slaves like myself, my father explained to me that he wanted to be a president of an HBCU so bad. That was just his goal in life, to go, and he went and was able to go to New York University and complete his PhD in higher education, focusing on historically Black colleges and in universities. And they were not called that then. They were called like predominantly, because our client recently helped me find my father's PhD, his dissertation that he wrote, and it was about it was called predominantly Black colleges. How you doing, Tracy? So um that my point there is that our schools were able to talk to us as instructing us that we were intellectually inferior because we were not in control of the school. we didn't have the power to say, you know what, we're not intellectually inferior. That's a lie. No, the schools taught us historically because we were not leading our own schools. We did not have our own schools. It really doesn't matter how historically Black they are. There are government entities that were started and not by people that looked like us. That's where we get confused. So he says in his book, and we're talking about Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro. It says the schools taught that Africans and those of African heritage were intellectually inferior to other races of people. The deliberate and unjustified degradation of Blacks in this manner, Woodson argued, was the worst sort of lynching. The worst was the worst sort of lynching, because it's cutting off your mind, but you're still walking around. It's feeding you a lie and you're living with it. Moreover, failing to acknowledge important contributions of African Americans, the white Americans could more easily justify the inequalities that Black people suffered in American society. And every day I look at the news and it continues to tell us that we are intellectually inferior, and it is by our people telling us that we are to be worried about someone else feeding us. Carter G. Woodson said that this would be a problem because the public education system in this chapter 1 can create disadvantages for Blacks and other minority groups. Blacks were not taught to be entrepreneurs. This is still today. I am one of the few registered investment advisory firms, 100% independent. This is one of the few on the planet. When I started at my investment firm that gave me the opportunity to break through into this business, I was the only Black face in the ballroom. This is a challenge for us. And I say that because I say the ballroom because that is actually, we were all 100% commission. In my firm, so I've been in this business over 30 years, I've been 100% have to create my own income. In this book, The Miseducation of the Negro, Carter G. Woodson tells us when these Black kids graduate, teach them to be entrepreneurs, teach them to create their own income. But until this very day, we still have millions of us still worried about getting fired, still worried about, will I get that job? We're sending kids to school with nowhere for them to go to work. So they have these degrees and they have these school loans and they have this debt, and then it messes up their credit because they have been socialized and taught that what they're supposed to do. And this goes all the way back. And he talked about it in The Miseducation of the Negro. And it is at this point, at what point do we start saying, I have to have responsibility for my own income? I have to create income. I have to create the future for my family. Do you know how many people in our community live completely off Social Security? So they're going around terrorizing them because they're saying that the Social Security check is going to stop. The Social Security check is not going to stop. But most of us that are complaining about it and thinking that this government, that there's some sort of, that we're still in the same thing that happened to us, that as Carter G. Woodson said, that the worst sort of lynching is to cut off your ability to think you could take care of yourself. Do you know how much money you put into that Social Security pool? Do you realize how much of your money that they are keeping from you over your whole career? And we are begging for them to not take away that little bit of check, that little bit of check that they decide if you get a raise on or not. That's why, as people get richer and their income gets bigger, they give them grace and they don't even make them have to put the money in there anymore. But you don't see any of these politicians that are trying to convince us that Social Security is going to fall apart and the whole system is focusing on hurting us. It's a lie. When did the damage start? The damage started way before 2025. Plan 2025. Lord, who in the world believes that 2025 some plan 2025? You're giving them all that credit when Carter G. Woodson wrote in the 1930s, look, this is to our demise. We have to start and have our own businesses. We have to start and create our own income. No 2025. This was the 1930s. He said that our ideology is worse than a lynching. That our mind of not believing that you can create the income to take care of your damn self and your family is worse than a lynching. And that's why we don't have the entrepreneurs. And that's why we don't need to worry about storming the Capitol. And we can laugh at the people storming the Capitol because you don't even understand when you have your own business, because we don't have them. So when they were standing out there upset about the government shutting down their businesses, we didn't even understand. We didn't even understand what was going on. So we just look at TV and we allow them to once again program us on what is about us, what is hurting us. What is hurting us is an ideology that started way back when our ancestors were sold to the Americans. That's when it started. And when we got freedom, we decided to beg them to let us work for them again, instead of using the freedom to create unlimited income so that we can be third generation entrepreneurs. I'm the first entrepreneur in my family. Other than, we cannot minus the fact that we have farms. My grandfather, both of my grandfathers were farmers. They were entrepreneurs. They were entrepreneurs. They had unlimited income, unlimited ability to feed their family. Even if they just were vegan, they were growing, they were working, they had their own businesses. And our families still have those assets today because they had something, they owned something. And more importantly, they owned something that created income. They owned something that created income. Now we go and we finance that degree, or we get that degree by the grace of God. What are we doing with it? That's what Carter G. Woodson was saying. What are you doing with it? Carter G. Woodson empowered me with the ability to say that I got these degrees and I can create unlimited income. I don't have to worry if they're discriminating against me, because I'm going out there and I'm going to get my own clients and I'm going to build my own business. But first, I went in there and worked and sold. And even before that, I walked down the street and I asked neighbors, can I clean your house? Can I clean your house? Yes. And then as soon as I could, I realized that cleaning the house, actually, I was doing better than when I started working at McDonald's when I was legal age. because I can clean as many houses as I wanted. At McDonald's, they told me I was only going to make a certain amount of money, no matter what I did in the hour. If I cleaned the toilet, or if I served fries, or I worked in the kitchen, I was going to get that $3 and something, 3.25, I think it was. And that's something. But we think that that's an accomplishment. Oh, I'm not, I don't have my own business anymore. I don't do the papers. I got to come up. I got this job. So now you limited, because nobody wants their child to grow up and actually own their own home cleaning business. I guess that would have been a bad thing. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? So we're not encouraging each other for their entrepreneurship spirit. Nobody patted me on the back and said, "Go, girl. Look at you. Do you know what that takes to go out there, knock on that door, get that business, do that?" That's it. It would have probably changed a lot of low self-esteem issues for me if somebody could have just patted me on the back. And my family is highly educated, but they were highly educated in the way that Carter G. Woodson talks about. The educational system is designed to tell you what you ain't gonna do. Designed to tell you what you ain't gonna do. I didn't have to worry about the sexual harassment because I set up my own environment. Only time I ever got sexually harassed is when I was working somewhere for somebody. But when you the boss, and nobody gonna sexually harass you. A lot of the things that we worry about are because we have put ourselves in a position for this to be able to happen to us. But we are not socialized to say that I actually have that kind of power. Because what? Because my family, like most families, was like, that is crazy to put yourself through all of that. And they never saw that I was investing in something that would take care of generations. Developing, but I had a brand before there was a brand. I had a niche before they were teaching it in college. We need to be forward thinking. And it's right there. Carter G. Woodson, I'm not thinking this out. Carter G. Woodson said it. He said, oh, the college graduates, he asked them, how many of y'all will go and work with North Carolina Mutual? North Carolina Mutual was a big Black life insurance company back then, 1930s. Big. No, because we all knew, one thing, you're going to die. I can't even find North Carolina Mutual now. He said the students were like, why would I go do that? I'm not going to know how much I'm going to make. I don't know. I go to college to go in there and have to go and actually talk to people and do something. And we have not been taught that when you get out of college, they're paying you to learn because you don't have really anything to offer them. So they're investing in you. They're investing in you. But we have been socialized to actually think that college is actually equipping us so that we have the right to be arrogant, that we're doing them a favor. But I remember my first job out of college, there was an offer for a salary. And the 7 weeks that I worked for that bank, I called for my sales job in radio. Because I said, I got school loans I got to pay. And I can't make that. And I set a goal for myself, how much I was going to make my first year out of college. And I had somebody at UVA that I had to tell that man that he was wrong. Because he told me there's no way you're going to make that much your first year out of college. It's not going to happen. There was a brother, too, that they have put over career planning placement for the business school. So, of course, I never told him, but I did what I said I was going to do. But to this day, he's not dead yet. I need to go and tell him, you need to not be telling students what they can't do. Because he didn't think that I was willing to do what Carter G. Woodson said do. Carter G. Woodson said, put yourself in a position to make unlimited income. But you know what? You got to get yourself in the right situation. But by getting in that situation and learning how to sell and combining my skill set, and I kept going to school, and I made that first job pay. They said we pay for half of your tuition. So they started paying for half of my graduate school. I'm going to graduate school full time at night, going and working full time during the day, paying all my school loans. You gotta get ourselves into a position that we can hustle. We got kids graduating from school who cannot, their job doesn't even pay them enough to make a loan payment. So now their credit's getting messed up. Because what? They've been taught that they gotta get that car. Then they get taught that they gotta get a mortgage loan. Then they get taught, see, they still got that school loan. I guess they thinking there will be another president that'll come up and just take care of it. The only thing I don't like about him doing that is it does not make us strong. When somebody picks up the weight for you, especially when it's something for you, you know, it'd be like me going in the gym and me telling my trainer, can you pick up that weight for me? Even when we're racking the weights, I participate because I want the strength. So anytime that somebody just hands you something, like it's taking a salary job, you have to realize it's taking something away from you. It's taking away your freedom. It's taking away your unlimited income. So you have to take that income and you have to do the right thing with it. So you get this job and it has a salary. You have to position yourselves to get with JB Bryan on how I'm going to set up that 401k so that I can get that what? Money, some more money from the employer, that match, and that you got to put that money away. That is like you becoming an entrepreneur. That's like you setting up your own business while you're working. If not, so you got to save enough that it hurts until you do it long enough and it won't hurt no more. That's a huge analogy, you know. But when you first are doing anything that's building you up, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. Discipline is vital to our long-term success. Discipline is vital to our long-term success and our ability to make unlimited income. Sometimes when I think back on my life and I realize how hard and how consistent, I'm not even going to say hard because I love my work, but how consistently I have pounded at this dream. That's what unlimited income takes. You got to build something. You got to build something. If you want unlimited income, then there's going to be time where you are just investing and you're building for that future. It takes that faith. It takes that we have to shut out all of the naysayers, because I'm telling you, when I started this business, a whole bunch of Black people told me, Black people don't have money, don't do that. And my goal is for Black people to have money. But I'm telling you, when they tell you the devil is a liar, it's like that phrase, because the devil that's actually the liar is our mind that accepts that. Because the people that tell us it won't work, I promise you, I think they love us. I really think they love us. So we want to say like, oh, you know, devil is a lie. You would lie. No. People could say whatever they want to say. But if our mind accepts that Black people don't this or Black people won't that, or you can never do this and this and that, you know. I remember when people would say, oh, I would do so and so if you've been in business longer and this and that. Like, you know, what if I'd allowed that to discourage me? Those people still ain't doing nothing for me. And I've been in business probably the longest 100% Black-owned registered investment advisory firm on the freaking planet. And they ain't doing nothing to help me. My clients have allowed this to happen. God's will has allowed this to happen. My consistently having faith in God's intention for our people to contribute to this society in a very positive way. My consistent commitment to the realization that we are capable. We are very capable. Don't allow anybody to tell you. Like, if I could go and talk to Congress today, I would say, look, we are very capable. So if anybody up in here says anything like Black people can't make it if you don't this, or Black people can't make it if you don't not, they don't, I don't care if they are Black, they're not speaking for Black people like me of African descent that know that whatever you got planned, if you got something planned, I know that Satan always has something planned. It is no weapon formed against me shall prosper, period. I'm powerful. God is powerful. I mean, like, we're the first. We're the first to go up in a church all the time, but won't start a business and have faith in God enough that it will last. Won't go and just do the investment property so that it can create income for you for life. You won't put aside some money so that you have something down the road. You won't make sure that if something happens to you, that these debts get paid off because you know you got somebody who can't pay for it by themselves. I'm going to tell you, it is time for us to take self-responsibility. It is time for us to believe what we are capable of. Our entire mindset has to change. That's what Carter G. Woodson was talking about in the miseducation of the Negro, and it continues to come now. Like, you know, if it is anything that we want to make sure that we boycott, we have to boycott that mentality that we're not capable of taking care of ourselves. We have to boycott that mentality that our kids are not smart enough to succeed in this system, because we are making it. They're smarter than us. They have more assets. They have more resources than we had. If our children are not succeeding, it's because we are doing something wrong. We have to take that type of responsibility. That it is my responsibility to make sure that my seed prospers, not theirs. Nobody, no government has responsibility over my child. No, or no generation of mine. We have to take back. Lord knows we have to take back responsibility for ourselves. You can do this. We can do this. And if there's anybody who wants to start, that's why I have the entrepreneurship membership, because I know how hard it is, how negative the world is. But it's just that you'll get some of the worst advice from people that love you. You will. If you know that God has a plan for you, then get on board with people that believe in the God you know, who know that God is bigger than this. God is so much bigger than this. I believe that what our community is challenged with right now is developing a better mindset. And we don't have any leadership that has a better mindset. We have leadership that's just being sassy and inappropriate and ignorant and not focused on the matters at hand. If you think that education is a problem, then that's focused on education. Then what are you going to do? But you fussing and screaming and arguing and calling out different names and insulting people and looking like me is only hurting us. And we can sit there and buy t-shirts and contribute to that nonsense, but that is the problem, according to Dr. Carter G. Woodson. That is the problem. We are bigger than that. We are bigger than this. We are bigger than these people out here breaking the rules looking like us. I do not identify with that behavior. I have known all my career that, JB, you have to do this as right as humanly possible, because even though they might be ignoring you, let you do something wrong and see what happens. Well, all of a sudden you matter. Let me do something wrong and then I matter. I might not matter now, but let me do something, God forbid, wrong. And I know that. Yes, yes, yes. We need people like, Miss Branch, they don't put people like me out front that are doing the work, that have done the work. They would rather have just new little knuckleheads that don't know nothing about Carter G. Woodson, could care less about our descendant, our history, what we're made of, and bringing back the core of us. So if you want to have unlimited income, it must start with a new mindset. A new mindset of making sure that what you spend your money on is an investment. And I'm talking about your health, your skills, your education, your legacy. Like an investment goes beyond just buying stocks from me. That's why Black AfroEconomics has everything from legacy to Black health, Black wealth as the 10th principle. And in the core of it is our relationship with God. None of it will happen without us having faith, in my opinion. Faith is everything. So when you want, to focus on unlimited income, you can build it while you're working somewhere, but it's going to require discipline. It's going to require strategy. It's going to require that you realize that materialism and a regular job don't mix, but the material items focus on people with regular jobs. They want that W-2. They want to see your W-2 so that they can take your whole check. I remember one time I was in a Harley Davidson dealership and it said like they were doing allotment, like they were doing the guys a favor. It says, "Hey, military, we will do an allotment for your Harley Davidson payment and lower your interest rate." That's you giving them access to your paycheck and acting like, you know what I'm saying, that they're doing you a favor. No, you're doing them a favor. Yes, you are giving them access like that. And they want to help you get only $5 left. So a lot of people in that type of situation have so many allotments coming out, there's no money left for them. Everything, allotment for that, allotment for that, allotment for that, allotment for that. Like, that's why materialism is not the key. Because the materialism will mess up your health and it'll cut into your ability to actually create the income. And if you mess up your health, it creates a problem with your mind, most importantly. Because a lot of what we got to do now for unlimited income is going to be mental. We got to be able to figure these systems out. Because you can do things as create income sitting right in your house on a computer with your cell phone. But we just use the cell phone to look at other people making money. We have to start using our resources. The phone is a resource. Yes, you can build with that. We need to go over income ideas. You need to join AfroEconomics just for the sake. I remember one time there was this young lady, and I said, I could get your income doubled within a year. Her problem was she was getting paid basically minimum wage with a college degree. And I said, we got to get you a different job. And I don't like your shift and you're leaving your daughter with someone that's not your husband, not her father. I said, we got to get you a different shift. We got to get you more money. We got to get you, I was committed. I was committed. But I think God brought that with so much truth, she couldn't handle it. She would come, she would hang with me a little bit, but she just couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle it. Sometimes, we want to help people, but they don't want to get help. So that's what they, me. But I still come at us like everybody deserves it. I'm not going to go into those, and I think a lot of our politicians and unfortunately spiritual leaders too, look down on us and have bought into those, like as Carter G. Woodson talked about, bought into that we're inferior. And you got talked down to us, and you know how we do. No, I don't know how we do, but I know you deserve a better salary, and I know that your daughter deserves to be protected, and I know that we should be looking out for each other, and I know that you deserve better than this. You have worked, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. The fact that I say that you're worthy irritates some people. You got to know you're worthy, or it will irritate you. You want unlimited income. The first thing is you got to know you're worthy. Before I go, let's look at it again. Seed of the trouble. The seed of the trouble. Many history books don't tell the truth of Blacks. The books say that Blacks were less intelligent. And that's something. Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro, yo. No. We are worthy. Carter G. Woodson said we're worthy. He said it. I'm gonna try shrink this so I can go in here, go down a little. What is that? Educated. I love this little PDF that like a study guide of it. Education equity. No, like literally, are we getting everything that we need out of the system? Is it really challenging us, enough? Is it really like, are we like now we have so much control? Like, he was talking about, these things that in January 1863, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Free slaves in states now in rebellion against the United States. Free slaves in states now in rebellion against the United States. So that means that there were still slaves in states that weren't in rebellion. That's how I read it. Because it doesn't say freed all slaves. It was issued not so much as a reflection of Lincoln's beliefs about slavery, but to influence the British and other Europeans to give its support to the Union rather than to the Confederacy of the Civil War. True, emancipation came with the ratification of the 13th Amendment in the U.S. Constitution in 1865. Are we free? Are we really free? No. I mean, the book just breaks it down. The miseducation of the Negro helps us understand why we're not entrepreneurs, why we don't feel comfortable accepting non-salary jobs. Blacks were not taught to be entrepreneurs, as he said. Educated Blacks do not give back to their community. That's still happening today. And the educated Blacks that are with the community are not doing what they should be doing to help the community, where too many of us are exploiting the community. Exploiting. Educated Blacks do not give back to their community. 1930s, y'all, and it's still happening. If we have like these educated Blacks that are getting into these positions and then they're doing things and we're not holding them accountable. We're not holding them accountable for getting in the job, having an affair, paying the people inappropriately, exploiting the finances, and we are letting them slide. Do you know how many awards that Fonnie Willis received the year that she actually, that is largely the reason that Donald Trump is the president of the United States. I mean, yes, you know, Ms. Harris, her campaign did not do well, but would he actually have ever been able to be even run for president if she had stayed focused on what God had her there to do instead of I had to go on that cruise. I mean, went right in there and testified that she just felt like she should go on the cruise with the employee that was married. Y'all, is it appropriate that we reward that type of behavior? Carter G. Woodson said, I mean, how selfish can you be? And you're still getting all of these international woman this, sorority acknowledging her for this and that and all this stuff. Come on. Now we got Stacey Abrams is saying she was supposed to buy all these appliances. She didn't buy the appliances. I don't care what other people did. I'm in AfroEconomics. My entire career is based on our success. So when we, and then someone will say to me, but so and so did so and so. So and so is not Black. And we're acting like I don't have the right to expect what Carter G. Woodson expected. Oh, that's okay for the 1930s for Carter G. Woodson to expect educated Black people to do better. He can do it, but I can't do it. But you can expect that of me. Whew! We deserve unlimited income. We deserve unlimited access. We deserve unlimited success. But every time someone that represents us, looks like you, does something outrageous, don't lie to yourself and think that somebody else is the enemy. You are my enemy if you do something that is not in my best interest. That is against the law for me. I work under a legal guideline that everything I do has to be in your best interest. Everything. And I'm sure somewhere in there, these people were asked to do the same. But then they go, well, they were voted in and, they can do whatsoever they want. Come on. It affects my income. Because when you're not getting as wealthy as you deserve to get, and when people are demoting our standard and the way we are presented to the world selfishly, I don't care that you got caught and they weren't supposed to catch you and they do wrong too. Well, one time this brother, I was telling him, you can't do that. That's not the proper way that you do it. And he said, that's how they do. I said, who is they? Who is they? Of course, he never talked to me again. But I'm going to, who is they? Because we got rules. I don't care how many people break the rules. We got rules. Now they're investigating who made all that money. And I said this way back during the pandemic. I said, all these people in Congress are making all this money off this stock that came out with the vaccine. This is a conflict of interest. The Department of Justice said it would have been illegal for anyone else. The Department of Justice said, just forget about it. And they probably thought that it would just be forgot about. But no, Kanika is back up again. Ain't no just forget about it. They want to know how everybody got so rich in Congress. They have all the right in the world because they got access to information that is insider trading. People go to jail for that. But everybody, all they worried about is P. Diddy. Wow, right? But this is money that could have been used on building schools in the hood, giving training in the hood. These people that represent us are supposed to be doing the right thing by our neighborhoods. They're supposed to be making the world a better place for everybody because as we do better and we get better, the world gets better. Everything I want is for everyone to do better. That's what I want. And if you didn't do it right, you need to dismiss yourself. And I have this in the book. I have this in the book in AfroEconomics. If you are going around and you're doing stuff, you're holding back everyone else that looks like you that's coming next. We have a responsibility to these next generations. We should be doing everything we can to make it better for these kids. Better for these kids. We need to stop having professional, selfish, well-educated people. Stop allowing it. We got to stop allowing it so that we can have unlimited income. Why? Because who's going to do business with us? You start a business, you Black, who's going to do business with you? Black people. If Black people can't make the income that they want and need, why? Because of other Black people doing wrong. Why? Then they're hurting. It's a cycle. It is a cycle of self-responsibility. I have responsibility for you. I have a responsibility to help you be wealthier. And we have a responsibility to not reduce our mindset. The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson, he was telling us to elevate our mindset. Yes, these things have happened to us. Yes, they have indoctrinated us. Yes, but we have to realize the reality of it is that we are intellectually equal. We do have the ability to learn and learn more. We can learn. Given the opportunity, we can learn. Who's holding us back now? Who's holding us back now? That's the question. Don't believe the hype that somebody outside of your atmosphere, you know what I'm saying, that doesn't look like you has that much of an impact on you. No, we have responsibility to each other. And we got to elevate. Exactly. Elevate. Elevate. Don't blame it on anybody else. It is my responsibility to do my best. I have to do better. I have to do better. I want to do better for you. Yes. Let them be mad. God is the one that has to be pleased with you. God has to be pleased. We have to please God. Please God. Yes, indeed. Y'all be great. Y'all be great. Income development, sources of income, diversification, increasing your skill set, increasing the tools that you have available, changing your mindset. Consider AfroEconomics. Consider doing the full membership. But look, no excuses. I have the no excuse membership. You're able to come to every meeting that we have. No excuses is absolutely complimentary. So let's do this. Yes, we are responsible. That's right, Cheryl asked you. Y'all be good. Love y'all. God bless. Let's stay positive. I am JB Bryan, President and Chief Investment Officer of JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm with office in Richmond, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and New York. Don't hesitate to call at 1-844-JBBRYAN, AfroEconomics.com as well. So check out the website. Make sure you register. Grow. Let's grow and go. The only limitation that we have is in our mind. I love you back, Lone Wolf Firearm Training. Yes, indeed. Y'all check out Lone Wolf Firearm Training. Have a great rest of the day. Back to you, Kanika. Love y'all. Be blessed.